have a little bit of filler time here, Dick, because I'm not going to go another 30 minutes as I did yesterday and then start my phone blowing up with people saying nothing's going on. So if you can hear this, if somebody can hear this and you can show that we're live, if you wouldn't mind just making a comment, something just so we know, that would be fabulous. And I can tell you, this is an exciting opportunity for me. And, I really enjoy getting to share some of our mentors and some of the legends of our business, people that I love and respect, with everybody within our group. And Dick was on the short list of that group of people that I wanted to share. And let me just tell you a little bit about Dick. It looks like everybody is here, Dick. I think we're good. We truly are live now, which is great.
We must be offering free food too. That's how I draw a crowd usually, Andy.
Yeah, well, we don't do anything without free food at the Georgia Legacy Group. We know that. We have that club in our bag too. So Dick Dillingham, we're gonna have him tell his story, but I just want to tell you a little bit about from my perspective, and one of the reasons why I respect him so much. He's one of the OGs. He's one of the original gangsters of Keller Williams, back from the early days. We're going to talk about some of those stories. Dick was also influential in creating the Keller Williams University, which is the faculty arm of Keller Williams. As you know, we're the #1 training company in the world, certainly within the real estate space. And so KWU has played an enormous role in leading the charge and making that happen. And there's just no finer people, in my opinion. I've had the pleasure of sitting through several of Dick's classes, and I always look out for them whenever they're on the KWRI calendar. So without further ado, Dick, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Andy. I mean, what an honor it is to speak to your fine group. I've heard a lot about them, and proud to be in business with you guys.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the spirit behind these conversations is really inspirational. I mean, we want to tell the stories of our people. We certainly are all going through a lot of adversity right now. I think it's not anything that we've all gone through adversity before. There's some solidarity, I think, in some of these calls and some of these conversations. So I appreciate you sharing some of your wisdom with us. And let's just dive right into it. Tell us about you. Where are you from, and how did you find real estate?
Okay, I'm originally from Texas, a fairly small West Texas town by the name of Abilene. Mm-hmm. I moved to Dallas to go to school here, to go to college here, and I just stayed. So I've been in Dallas a long time. When I got out of school, actually, my undergraduate degree was in business. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went and got my MBA. And I really emphasized real estate while I was getting my MBA. And so when I got out and with my graduate degree, I went into commercial real estate. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the thing to do. That was the fairly early 70s. By the way, today is my 43rd anniversary to get into residential real estate, literally on April Fools.
That's awesome.
And that ain't no fooling.
No fooling.
So originally I went into commercial real estate because that was kind of the manly thing to do here in Dallas. The only problem with that is I didn't like it and it didn't like me. And so I basically failed out. I didn't last a year.
What do you think that was? What was it about commercial that didn't jive with you?
Well, there are a couple of things, and I know a lot more today than I knew then. Commercial is a broad category, particularly in a major metropolitan area. When you're in a rural area, you're kind of all things to all people. But in Dallas, we specialize. The company I joined, you were either in retail, or you were in industrial, or you were in multifamily, or you were in office. And so you kind of picked your specialty. And even within those specialties, you probably picked a specialty. And the specialty that I allowed myself to kind of get cubbyholed in was retail leasing.
Yeah.
Retail leasing. And it involved a lot of cold calling, which is not my forte. It involved trying to talk people into the idea they needed another dress store or another bookstore or another restaurant. And it just, another thing as I look back on it, you worked a long time to make a deal. Now, the deals were bigger, typically, not always, but typically the deals were a little bit bigger, but it was a higher risk kind of thing that required that kind of profile. And that profile does not really fit me. I'm a low risk, kind of a single, as I called it, a singles hitter. I'm not a double or home run hitter. I like to, if a deal falls apart, I like to have another deal I'm working on immediately.
Yeah.
That's really not typical of commercial. So anyway, I got out. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was fascinated with real estate in general, and this experience did discourage me temporarily. But I went into the corporate world and I went into banking, and I was a banker for 3 years. I went through their credit training program, came out, became a loan officer, commercial loan officer. But right away, I mean, I did that for almost 3 years, and it only took about a year and a half for me to realize that I was not going to spend the rest of my life doing this. It was too scripted, too, it didn't emphasize personal accomplishment. It just emphasized how long you've been on the job and, how old are you? And let me see what the formula says as far as your advancement. And that was terribly contrary to my thought process. So in 1977, on April 1st, I got into residential real estate. And I got in for a couple of reasons. First of all, I felt like housing was one of the three major necessities of life. You've got food, clothing, and housing or shelter. And I thought, okay, so even if times get bad, people are going to need shelter. And so that was kind of my early premise, which has turned out to be true, by the way. And then the second thing that was real important to me is when I got into the business, I kind of focused, I kind of created my own mindset saying to myself that I was not getting into real estate sales. I was getting into real estate customer service. I was a service provider, not a salesperson. And that was an important distinction for me, not necessarily right for everybody.
Yeah.
It was right for me to say, I'm not going to talk anybody into buying or selling a house. I'm just going to help them. I'm going to provide this service for something they already have decided they want to do or need to do.
What is your DISC profile, Dick? What's your DISC profile?
My DISC is I'm an SC.
Yeah. You and I are a lot alike.
Yeah. If you look at the AVA, my closest AVA match is an MCA.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just didn't suit my style to go out there and, a referral is the highest compliment you can give me. Nothing wrong with that, but it didn't hit my style. My style was, if you need my help, I'm here for you. If you don't need my help, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And it's worked very well for me for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in residential real estate for about 3 years. Actually, while I was interviewing, this is an interesting story. The manager of the office, I said to her, she was a single lady, and I said, I've just gotten married. I have a little baby at home, and my wife wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and quite honestly, I don't have any money. Is there somebody that you can direct me to who's a lot more like me than you are, so that I can basically identify what it would be like for someone like me to get into residential real estate?
Mm-hmm.
She said, I know the perfect person. You need to meet Mike Brody.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I met Mike Brody. He was young, he was married, he had a child, and he was broke. It was perfect. We were a perfect match.
Solidarity.
And we've been business partners for 40 of the 43 years.
Wow.
By the way, the last 40 of the 43 years, not We're still partners, business partners, and became best friends right away. Our wives became best friends. We watched each of us had one more child. We were there for those. That was Tony Brody, by the way.
Right.
I was there at his birth. But anyway, so 3 years after we met at the same company, different offices, but at the same company, 3 years later, we left that company and started our own company. It was called Brody and Dillingham Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that company for about 5 or 6 years, and then we were bought out by a savings and loan. And they created a real estate arm where they already had mortgage, title, insurance, development, and banking.
Yeah.
They just didn't have a real estate company to sell those services.
Mm-hmm.
And so they created the real estate arm, and we became a part of that. And I was there for about 4 years. And then I left, and Mike did too, and we went to RE/MAX.
Yep.
And Mike was at RE/MAX for 5 years. We were in the same office, and I was there for 6 years. And then we left, Mike about a year before me, and we left and went to Keller Williams here in Dallas.
So Mike is your sponsor, I'm guessing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Mike gets all the awards.
I know.
He recruited the right guy.
Right. He did. So what year was that when y'all joined Keller Williams?
He joined in 94. Matter of fact, today is his anniversary for joining Keller Williams.
Wow.
26 years ago today.
So 1994, any idea how many agents were at Keller Williams then?
Well, I joined in 95 and we had about 1,800. I think when he joined, there were between 12 and 1,500.
Wow. So what did it look like then?
Well, it was definitely Keller who. Matter of fact, in Dallas, Keller Williams had failed once. And so they opened kind of on the rebound. And but Keller who didn't bother me that much because I had been to Brody and Dillingham was Brody and Dillingham who, and the savings and loan when they started their real estate company, it was Murray who, and even RE/MAX, when we joined RE/MAX, wasn't nearly as solid as they later became. So it wasn't always something other than RE/MAX who.
Yeah.
And it was funny, toward one of the last years with RE/MAX, I was only there about 6 years, but one of the last years they had the annual convention for RE/MAX in Atlanta. And I went and toured Lee Finch's office, who at that time was the largest RE/MAX broker owner in the system.
Yep.
Right there in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was exciting. It was tough. There were a lot of people who were non-believers. And, even to this day, Andy, I think the most frustrating part of watching anything grow or being a part of the growth is when people aren't willing to listen. If they listen and choose not to come or decide that it's not a match, I respect that. But it was sometimes a little bit discouraging when they wouldn't even listen. On the other hand, one of the things we did wrong was we kind of threw profit share out at everybody, assuming that they would really love profit share. We didn't really do a needs analysis in the early days the way we needed to, and we learned that kind of the hard way. But it was exciting. Those were great times. Very exciting.
Well, and it wasn't the Keller Williams that we all know today either. No. I mean, it didn't have the training, accolades. It didn't, it certainly didn't have the amount of leaders that it does now. No. You had to lead with your economic model.
Right.
Yeah, that was, you were playing on price.
Right. Right. Well, and a dream.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a dream, did you ever dream that it would look like this?
No. I dreamed it would be good. I dreamed it would be very good. And I'll tell you one thing that Gary Keller said early that really ignited my fire. I mean, it really fired me up, And he said, and it was to a group of people, and I don't remember exactly where we were, probably Austin, but he said, I think this company has a chance to make history someday. That's a pretty big statement when you're at 1,800 people in an industry.
That's vision.
That is. That's guts. Yeah, boy. But that was exciting to me. That was very exciting to me. Sure. And what we would do is, and I'd been through it again. I'd been through it before with my company and Mike's company. We had to say to people, well, close your eyes and imagine that this office looks nice, because it didn't in the beginning. And close your eyes and imagine that we've got all these training materials and they're printed and they're pretty and they're going to help you a lot. And close your eyes and imagine instead of 1,800, we have 18,000. And instead of being in 8 states, we're in 25 states. And right. How exciting would that be to be a part of? And the pioneers wanted to be a part of it, and the wait and see people wanted to wait and see.
Yeah. Wow. Well, look how it's rewarded you. So tell us right now, you've got ownership, you're an OP, and you've got regional ownership. What is your involvement in KW look like right now?
Okay. Well, yeah, things have changed. At one time or another, not all at the same time, but I was the OP of 5 different market centers. Again, not all at the same time. Now I'm not an OP of any market centers anymore.
Okay.
I just sold out of one market center, which leaves me, and I've sold out of the others along the way. But the last one, the next to the last one was pretty recent. It was really last year.
Yeah.
I sold out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and let some of the local people, some more of the local people buy in, and so did Mike. So now Mike and I'll just speak about me. I'm only an investor in one market center, which is Plano. That's our home market center, and that's the market center. We first started in Dallas.
Which market center in Dallas?
Dallas Preston Road.
Okay,
then we left Dallas Preston Road and opened Plano. Mm-hmm. And today it sits 3 miles away from Dallas Preston Road on the same street. Our Peachtree is Preston Road. That's the same thing. Everything's on Preston Road in Dallas, in the Dallas metropolitan area. Matter of fact, I think we have 7 Keller Williams offices on Preston Road.
Wow. Yeah, that is like Peachtree.
Yep.
I think we've got Midtown, Buckhead, Peachtree Road. Yeah, I mean, even going straight up, one of our market centers is off of Peachtree Road, which becomes Peachtree Parkway. Yeah. And then, you've had bits and pieces of regions all over.
So that's really where my focus is now. I'm an investor in Northern California, Hawaii. I'm an investor in Maryland, D.C., and those are my 2 major regions. And then there's 3 other regions that I'm an investor in, but a smaller investor. And that's pretty much it. I was the operating partner for the Northern California, Hawaii region. Mm-hmm. And Mike was the operating partner for Maryland, D.C. Mm-hmm. And we had agreed to split those duties because between us, we had majority ownership or close to majority ownership between us.
Yeah.
And so he kind of had a hands-on in one and I had it in the other. And now both of us have moved out and let Tony Brody become the operating partner of both those regions.
That's awesome.
So,
ironically, we had Zach Younger on our 11 o'clock call.
Oh, yeah.
Zach was...
he's part of our team.
Yeah. So thank you. Your region, or that region in particular, has shared quite a bit with us today. We appreciate that.
Well, good.
So I want to go back to the early days of KW, and I want to know, what's your best Gary Keller story?
I've been thinking about that. That's a great question, and a loaded question, of course.
Yeah.
This is probably being taped, and
only between you and me and YouTube.
Yes. Only our closest friends will hear about it.
Right.
Well, actually, I thought about it, and I'm going to give you but I am going to wiggle out of this just a little bit, and I'm going to talk about some of my memories of some
Yeah.
things Gary has said over the time, and I'm going to give you a couple of situations where Gary appeared, and so those are kind of like stories. So the stories would be, I just remember, and one of them was fairly recent when he actually the two that I remembered most have been fairly recent. One was when he was at Inman Connect. I thought that was a fantastic appearance by Gary. The dynamics between he and Brad Inman were hilarious. And you can go to YouTube and probably pull that one up. And if your guys haven't seen that, it's worth it, because it was 100% Gary, no question about that. And I know you've seen it, but that one was one. Another one was when we all saw Agitated Gary at the stage on Family Reunion stage. I thought that was classic too.
It's about 3 years ago.
That was about 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a fantastic presentation. We still have ripples that come from that. Still have ripples.
He was calling everybody out, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So some of the things I remember Gary saying, I've already told you one, I think this company has a chance to make history, and he's now proven that to be, we've all proven that to be completely true. He said this one time, and this was kind of cool. He said, "To know me is to like me. To not know me is to not like me." That's kind of a thought-provoking statement. And because I've known him and I know him pretty well, I know exactly what he means. He's very driven by helping people succeed, and he gets very frustrated not only at the people but at himself if he can't break through and help them achieve their true maximum potential.
Yeah, and he's got a good heart too. I think you don't know him, he might come across, as a high D, as a D personality.
He is a high D,
right?
Yeah.
But when you really know him and you really study his behavior, I mean, he is a caring, kind person.
No question. And you know what? He's also very humble. You don't know half of what he does. I mean, even if you just knew the things that we do know, that shows you he's a caring person. But there's way more to him than that. Right. Way more. Right. One day he said this to a group of us. He said, "I'm no smarter than any of you, and I'm not more of a visionary than any of you. But," he said, "I will tell you what I am that's different from you." He said, "I'm way more focused than you, way more focused than any of you." And I've thought about that a lot. And I would argue with him about him not being smarter than us. I think he is. But here's the really interesting thing I've thought about is you put intelligence together with focus, and it comes off in sort of an exaggerated way. He takes his extremely high intelligence, and when he focuses on a piece of it or a facet of it, it just comes out in, huge quantities. Yeah. So he's an interesting person there. One time I was in a class with him, and whatever the situation was, I made the comment, Gary, I said, when I get into a little bit of a rut, or I get down from an attitude standpoint, one of the things that's always worked for me is just to go back to the basics. And I thought, I'm pretty proud that I was able to contribute that. And he said, you've heard him do this too. He said, "Well, Dick, that's just great. I've just got one question for you. Whoever gave you permission to leave the basics?" And I thought, oh man, yeah. Okay, maybe I'll just keep my comments to myself.
I've been in rooms with him before where somebody will stand up and ask a thought-provoking question or make a comment like that, and he would say, "That's a really good question. This is not the room to ask that question." That room is down the hall, perhaps another brokerage.
Yes, he's classic. He is classic. He's classic.
Yes.
We had an operating partner one time, fairly new to the company at the time I'm thinking of, and we were at family reunion, and he came out of a session with Gary, large session, of course. And I said, "Hey," I said, how'd it go? And he goes, "It went well." He said, "I think I'm finally learning how to listen to Gary." And I thought, he's actually right. There's a little bit of an art to listening to Gary.
Mm-hmm.
But man, buckle down, because you're about to hear a lot of pretty smart things.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every week, you get some sort of a nugget from that dude.
He's really grown a lot. And that speaks to something that's basic to him. He's a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one time the guy said this to us. This was classic also. He said, I recognize that I'm not very with it, or I'm not very current or knowledgeable about technology. This is a long time ago. And he said, and I think technology is going to play a bigger and bigger part in our industry, frankly, in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of vision.
Yeah.
He said, so what I did this weekend, I went to the library. No, I'm sorry. I went to the bookstore, and I bought 3 books and 11 magazines on technology. And I read them this weekend. I went, what did you say?
Mm-hmm.
You read 3 books and 11 magazines on technology this weekend?
Yeah.
I just couldn't fathom that.
Yeah, we had a mastermind with him a couple of years ago, and he's notorious for assigning us books to read.
Yes.
And he assigned us 3 books to read 2 weeks before we were supposed to be in Austin. So luckily I had Leslie, we just divided and conquered, and Leslie's a fast reader, but I mean, I don't know what everybody else did. But it was funny when we sit down with him about reading books, he says, you don't have to read every word of the book.
No.
And that was something that I actually learned from him, is he, kind of taught us about, all right, here's where you want to look. You want to look in the really first couple of chapters, and then you want to identify what the table of contents is and go back and read, what chapter applies to the thing that you want to learn. But most importantly, you want to read to solve problems in your life. And
right.
I think, golly, I've never really thought much about reading that way.
He said in Quantum Leap, that's the class that he created on how to have a better, more purposeful life, which I took 5 times before they asked me if I would teach it. And I actually turned them down, since my only model was Gary. And I thought, gosh, how cool would this be not to follow in Gary's footsteps?
Yeah.
Anyway, in Quantum Leap one day, he said, you read books for one of 2 reasons. You either read for pleasure, and if you do, you read for 100% comprehension. He said, or you read for ideas. Now, if you read for ideas, you skim the book until you come to a major idea. And then you read carefully that major idea, and you decide if you agree with it or disagree with it. Will it help you or not help you? Are you already talking about it, using it, etc.? And when you make that decision, then you start skimming the book again until you come to another major idea.
Yep.
And I've tried that a couple of times. It's a great idea. I love it, but it takes some practice.
Yeah, I feel like I have this FOMO. If I don't read every single page of every book, I'm missing something, right?
No.
I've also heard that, if you, whatever you underline in a book, actually it states what it is you agree with. That you don't underline anything in books that you don't agree with generally.
Wow, that's right. Well, he taught me indirectly by just demonstrating it, the value of ahas. Early on, when I came to Keller Williams, I was in a training class with Gary, and at some point mid-morning, he stops and he says, okay, so what have your ahas been? Well, I had no idea what the term even meant. I'd never heard that term until I came to Keller Williams. And I've been a trainer. I've been a professional trainer for CRS, the Certified Residential Specialist Program, since 1984.
Yeah, you were that program, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't that program. I was a part of it, and I was honored to be a part of it.
Yeah. You're good.
But he did, and at first I thought, ahas, that sounds kind of corny.
Mhm.
Well, what I saw and what I learned again was so impactful to me that I probably have 100 to 150 pages of ahas on various events I've been to, or books that I've read, or seminars that I've heard live or on tape.
Yep. We call that a success journal in my world.
Yeah.
I've got several of them where I write down. I actually have one notebook that I just carry around with me all the time, and then I have another notebook that I take the nuggets out of this notebook and make sure it gets recorded in this one.
Right.
So I want to go back to the quantum leap thing, because for a while there was really only Gene. I know Gene Rivers taught it, and you were teaching it. Who else was teaching it? Maybe Georgia?
Mo.
It was Mo. Yeah, it was Mo. Right.
Mo Anderson.
But
So it started off with just Gary.
Yeah. So it
was just Gary and me.
Right.
And then he opened it up a little bit more, and it became Gary, me, Gene, Mo. Sean taught it.
Yeah.
But nobody's taught it. I mean, the people who've taught it the most are Gary, me, Mo, and Gene.
Yeah.
But there have been others that have taught it, but not nearly as frequently as the four of us.
It's such a personal course, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is the life of Gary. So he is, for obvious reasons, been very, very protective of that course. From what I understand, they're loosening that up a little bit. Have you heard that? Do you know anything about it?
They are.
Okay.
They are. Anybody can teach it now. Yeah. Anybody can teach it. I mean, that's kind of Gary's deal, which at first I wasn't completely on board with, because I'm struggling with the idea we've got to have quality delivery, and Gary's basically saying that'll work itself out in the free market, but we want to open it up to get it to more people, and I can see that side of it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. He said one day, just like you were referring to, he said, this course is very autobiographical. It's about his life. But then here's what happens over time. And that, by the way, that was scary to me at first. And that's why I was not willing to teach it at first. But I was encouraged and basically talked into teaching it by Dave Jenks, who at that time was the dean of Keller Williams University when we first started. When we first started, there were 13 instructors, and Dave Jenks was one of the instructors, but was also the dean. Then Todd Butzer became the dean of Keller Williams University later, and then I became the dean after Todd. And then I think they retired the position. I don't know. I guess it was just...
It couldn't follow you. That was the way.
Well, that's right. They didn't want to. But here's what I learned teaching Quantum Leap, because I've probably taught it 40 or 50 times now. Now, when I teach it, it is very autobiographical about me.
Right.
You learn a lot about me. And I think that's true. As the more I think about it, the more I think that's true in most teaching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You teach what you know, you teach who you are, you teach what you like and believe in. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's just, I've learned so much at Keller Williams. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, before we move on from Gary, I was on a call with Chicago, Illinois, and some of their leaders before you, and they told me that Warren Buffett just quoted Gary Keller recently.
Wow.
I thought that was cool.
Wow. Yes. For those who don't know, Gary is walking about 5 feet above ground level now, because Warren Buffett is one of his long time heroes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And deservedly so.
I love what he says about investing. He said, any subject, right? Find the authority, and whoever that authority is, just read that book.
Right.
You don't need to read the other ones, just read the best one. Like, I don't need to read every investor's table. I just need to read Warren Buffett.
Yeah, 12 times.
Do what he does. Yeah. I love that. So you've lived through some recessions.
Right.
We probably 4 or 5 of them, I would guess.
Yeah.
You lived through quite a few real estate shifts.
Yep.
Tell me what's the worst one you can remember?
It would be the financial crash in 2007 through 12.
Yeah.
8 through 11, depending on what part of the country you were in. And one of the reasons was it lasted so long. It lasted a long time.
Yeah.
We had a financial crisis in the, let's see,
Like 91.
late 80s, early 90s, but it didn't last as long as this one did in 2007, 8 through 11 or 12.
Right.
And I want to tell you a story about that because, of course, the question would become: so how do you weather through it? How do you get through it? How does that apply to today?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, in a lot of ways, the answer is how do you overcome it? It's the same no matter when it occurred. But a friend of mine called me one day. This is about in 2009 or 10, and she said, "Hey, have you read the paper?" And I said, "No." It was the morning. She said, "Have you read the paper yet?" And I said, "No." She says, "Well, it says that our recession might become a depression." She goes, "What do you think about that?" And I thought, wow, what a great way to start my day. Thank you. Thank you for that wake-up call.
Yeah.
But here's what I said to her. And in a way, I was kind of fortunate about it. But as I think back on it, I'm glad I didn't have to fake what I said. But what I said was, I said, I don't really care if it's a recession or a depression. I said, I got to sell houses. I said, I got to sell houses at night. I got to sell houses during the day. I got to sell houses when it's hot. I got to sell houses when it's cold. I got to sell houses when it rains. I got to sell houses when money's tight. I got to sell houses. That's what I do. And whatever's happening outside of me, outside of what I can control, will just dictate how I'm going to sell houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Gary took that idea and wrote a book called Shift.
Mm-hmm.
So Shift was actually my idea. See, you get that directly, don't you?
Well, and you get those checks, I'm sure, every month.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Well, actually, you know what? I've just donated those.
Yeah. Well, when that shift occurred in 2008, 2012, what did it do to your situation? I mean, you're all in real estate at this point, right? What did your world look like?
I was in sales. I was teaching. We had the Plano Market Center open. We had just opened the Northern California region. And, it was funny. It was funny. Actually, we had opened it a few years earlier. Okay. Now I'm having to recall this because here's what really made it really, really, really tough is how really, really, really good 2005 and 2006 were.
Sure.
At that time, 2005 was the best year in real estate history. Matter of fact, at Keller Williams, you look at our growth, our growth chart, you'll see a huge amount of growth in that 2005 time period. We even called it a land grab for franchises. I mean, people want to open a franchise anywhere in Timbuktu or wherever because you could make it work in 2005. Anybody could make it work anywhere in 2005. And then, boom, reality came down and just slapped us in the face. And so sometimes a low becomes even lower when you've just experienced a high.
Sure. Yeah.
But by the way, the low lows make you appreciate the high highs coming up.
Yeah.
So it was, you just had to put your nose to the grindstone. You had to be persistent. You had to work hard. You had to keep your mind right. Boy, that's the universal truth in any shift.
Yeah.
You have to guard your mind.
Yeah.
Guard your mindset.
Yeah. as Gary says, you can't control what comes out of your mouth until you can control what goes in your head.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we do this.
Exactly. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get somebody who gets on here seriously, gets on here and goes, this looks like this could be rough. This could be the roughest one. I'm buckling down. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make this. You don't want anybody talking like that.
Well, there's some prudence that I think all of us need to, employ right now. But the main point that I think I'm getting from everyone is just, this isn't the last shift you're going to go through. This isn't the last problem you're going to face. And, I've heard it said, I don't know if Gary said it, somebody said it, but, all of these challenges and problems are just opportunities to go deeper into relationship with people.
Right.
And I think we're seeing that. My conversation yesterday with Robin Matthews, which unfortunately didn't get to be broadcast, but one of the points that she made that I thought was beautifully said, she said, we've been talking about thinking outside of the box, and what you all need to realize right now is that the box just got blown up. Box. You get to build the box now. What do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. So, fantastic.
Yeah. So, right now, one of the cool jobs you have is you get to do FSO. How often are you doing this? Every other month or something like that in Austin?
Yeah. Franchise systems orientation.
And what is that?
It's an overview. It's an overview of everything that Keller Williams is doing, everything Keller Williams has done and is continuing to do. It's an overview of the projects that we're about to start or have recently started. So it is kind of show and tell on steroids, And I tell the class when we start, I say, this is going to be a little different than your average class. I said, we're really not here to teach you anything specifically or deeply. We're here to show you all of the things. We're going to go wide, not deep. Mm-hmm. Now, when we go wide and not deep, what you need to do is make a list of the things you want to go deeper on. And then you take action and follow up in those areas. But see, we'll have an average class of about 200 people, and they're from all over the country, and they're from every job description in our company. We've got agents, we've got ALC members, Agent Leadership Council, we've got team leaders, we've got operating partners, we've got guests, we've got investors, we've got KW Worldwide. We've got a lot of people wearing a lot of hats. And so people are going to have different interests. And I love teaching that class. And you're right, I teach it basically every other month.
Yeah.
But this year, for the first time ever, we were going to experiment. We are still going to experiment with 2 classes in the regions. Yeah. We're going to do Seattle, and we're going to do Washington, D.C., and see how those go at the regional level. We've had to postpone both of them. One was going to be in March and one was going to be in April, so we've postponed them.
Yep.
And right now, I think we're talking about hopefully June, July, something like that. I've forgotten. They're on my calendar, but later on.
Yeah. We were supposed to go, all the TLs and I were going in April. Actually, we'd already booked our trips, and unfortunately, you weren't teaching it. That was the bummer of it. But we were stuck. I think we were stuck with some lady named Georgia Alpazar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was actually, I don't know if you know this, she was actually a team leader for me.
Really?
Yeah, in Plano.
Yeah.
She was, so you go see her. She's got traits of greatness. I mean, she's got a lineage, right? Lineage. Right. She's great. Seriously, she's great.
Yeah. So tell me this, what, you got some downtime right now. What are you doing? What are you reading? How are you passing your time?
Well, let me just check to see where my wife is. Let's see. how honest I need to be here. I'm going to tell you this: we're going to come out of here with the cleanest, most organized, most so much available space. We could single-handedly support an organization like the Salvation Army or KWU Cares if we could just figure out how to do a garage sale with everything we no longer are going to keep. It is like it's become a contest. See which one of us can throw the most stuff away.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and that's keeping me pretty busy. I'm reading a couple books. I've read 4 books. I think I've finished front to back 4 books, and I call them fun books. But I'm also reading 2 learning books. And here's my newest recommendation to everybody. The podcast, Think Like a CEO, session 3, number one part of session 3 came out Monday.
Yep.
I listened to it today, and I listened to it 3 times today.
Wow.
And so I've listened. I was not up to speed. In all honesty, I was not up to speed. I had to catch up for sessions 1 and 2.
They were great.
And they were great. And I've listened to everything, but if I had to pick one session of all of them, one tape, it'd be this one. It'd be this one that's out right now, new. Have you heard this one yet?
I haven't heard it yet. I knew it came out this week.
It's fantastic. Like I said, I've heard it 3 times. I've made some notes. He recommends 4 books that he read that were important and instrumental and to him. I've ordered 3 of them already. I'm not sure I'm going to order the 4th, but the 3 that I did order today are Anthony Robbins' Unlimited Power.
Right.
Behind or Beyond the Arches, the McDonald's story, Ray Kroc story, and Pizza King, which is the Domino's Pizza story.
Yeah.
And he told us on the tape, he told us on the session, on the podcast, why each one of these was important to him and how it could be important to each of us. And so I ordered them, and I'm going to read them.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. So, what, in all your wisdom, what would you talk to? I wasn't laughing until you laughed.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody right now that maybe is a little scared, a little uncertain, which if you feel like I'm describing you, I'm probably describing most people, right? But what advice would you give to people right now that are in real estate? What should they do? And I know you can't tell people how to feel. Everybody has the right to feel the way they feel, but what could they do right now?
Well, I do get asked that question a lot, and a lot of that has to do with having been through 5 shifts. And I think back to what I've done during those 5 shifts that's worked for me. I think about what we teach in Quantum Leap. I think about what I hear Gary talking about. And I would say overall, and I've already mentioned this, but you have to guard your mind. And so let me give you some perspective. When you think back to the MREA book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the MREI book, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and Shift. Each one of those books written by Gary Keller, the first chapter is about mindset.
Yeah, the first chapter of that MREI book, the talk that he has with John.
Yep.
Forever, I thought that was the closest thing to being in the room with Gary. And now what I think is this Think Like a CEO. I think it's the closest thing to being in the room with Gary.
Yes.
Sorry, I want to interrupt you.
Well, that's okay. By the way, you reminded me of another thing Gary said, and this was very cool, and it speaks to what you're talking about. He says in some of his sessions, he'll say this. He'll say, now, in 5 minutes, I'm going to start sounding like I know it all and that I have all the answers. And he says, it's not really true, because in 5 minutes, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a conversation with myself, and I'm going to let you listen in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, wow, who would come up with something like that? But that's his humility showing through, that he knows he's going to come across in a very authoritative sounding way. And what he's saying on the front end is, hey, look, I'm going to sound like I know it all, but I don't. I've failed my way forward just like some of you have, and just like the rest of you will. And he said, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm giving myself advice. I'm talking about these things to myself. You listen in and you decide what works for you. And I'm thinking, wow, how cool is that? Yeah. So he does that. I think, I'm a believer, and we talk about this in Quantum Leap, that you're a product of your environment. And Gary talks about it a lot too. Gary talks about guarding your environment with the people you let in. Yep. And what you've got to do is you got to make sure that you surround yourself with people who will build you up, not people who will tear you down or suck the life out of you. And this is not an easy call sometimes, because sometimes the person that's tearing you down or sucking the life out of you is a personal friend. But you can't afford for that person to do that to you, because it affects you, it affects your career, it affects your life, it affects your family. You can still be friends with them. And this person who told me that, have you read the front page today? She's still a friend. She's just not in my inner circle anymore. Yeah. I couldn't afford to keep hearing that.
Somebody once told me that if people aren't moving in the direction that you are, they don't want you to go there either.
Right.
And you gotta be careful.
Dave Ramsey, the author of The Financial Author, he's a big fan of that too. You got to surround yourself with people. John Maxwell is a big fan of guarding who you let into your world. Mm-hmm. And it is not an open door. It is not a massive throng of people. It is a rather small group of people that you rely on. And so for those of you who are a little nervous and fearful, first of all, welcome to the club. We're all that way. Matter of fact, I told someone the other day, I'm very fragile with my mindset, but I'm also very knowledgeable that if my mindset takes a hit, I immediately go for help. I read a book, I pick up quotes. I have my mentors, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, Andy Andrews, some of those guys, Gary Keller. I'll listen to the podcast the fourth time if I need to. Because what I need to do is I need to refortify myself continually. And I need hope. I need hope. I need optimism. I need bright light. I don't need dark. I don't need rain. I don't need clouds, but they're out there. So you have to be a realist. Yeah. You have to be a realist. You're going to get down, maybe on a daily basis. That just means you're going to have to pick yourself up on a daily basis.
Yeah, making a conscious effort.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm so thrilled about being a part of Keller Williams, frankly. We have so many people that you can rely on in our company. If you made your list of people to speak to your group, the list could go on and on and on. It's only really limited by you not knowing everybody. But the more people you know in our company, the more people we would all realize would have that resource ability for us. I mean, when I think of Jason Abrams, oh my gosh, who can't get up after listening to him?
No doubt.
It's just, but it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, our team leaders right now, and our directors, our director of career development and director of tech, they are all taking a day and they all lead the 11 o'clock call. So we have just kind of a base camp for all three market centers right now. And they're just so fun right now. They're calling in, all their relationships and booking all these amazing speakers at 11 a.m. And I told them yesterday, I was like, guys, my expectation is not for you to do this. And one of them said, I think it was Mike Mulder, he said, no, we love this. We want to do this. I think just giving people an outlet, and certainly the sharing nature of our company, is coming through in a big way right
now. I would say, frankly, like no other company. I feel very safe in saying that. One of the things I've done is I now am posting on Facebook. I'm a Facebook guru now.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I can't do a lot of other things. I'm not good at live Facebook, but I'm good at just posting on Facebook. So every morning I post my positive thought for the day. And I'm getting about 200 to 300 hits each day. I've only done it for 5 days, but I'm getting a lot of good stuff. And here's the deal. It helps me more than it helps the people looking at it. Because I'm looking at a list of a couple of hundred positive thoughts, and I say, okay, I got to pick one out today that really would be meaningful. Well, that is a huge help for me. And then humor. I don't know if you know this, but I'm very funny.
I know you're funny.
Humor helps. So I came out with my 10 rules to protect yourself from the negativity virus.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. And so I posted those on Facebook. And I said,
I think I saw that.
Social distancing. I said social distancing from a negative person, a carrier of the negativity virus. I'd say 5 miles or more. Because you got to get out of being able to hear them. You can't. I mean, it didn't just touch them. If they have the negativity virus, you don't want to even listen to them.
That's right. Shut that down. Well, one more question for you, because I want you to get back to your spring cleaning.
Yes.
What are you most passionate about right now?
I mean, I'm very passionate about my family, my kids and my grandkids, no question about that. But I think in a lot of ways I'm still equally passionate about this company. And my role has shifted a little bit. And I see myself now as an encourager and maybe a consultant or a resource. And so I still am very passionate about the teaching that I do. And even taking on people one at a time and helping them and showing them things and talking to them and again, encouraging them. And I think about how important that is. John Maxwell has a book called Intentional Living. And in that book, he talks about being significant. And he's talking about being significant in other people's lives. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about being a significant contributor to other people's lives that would make a difference. I want to be the kind of person, Andy Andrews had this quote. He said, be the kind of person other people want to be around. That is, in today's world right now, that is a valuable person. And so that is my passion. I want to come across to everybody I run into. I want people to go, wow, that guy, I'm glad I ran into him. I'm glad I know him. I'm glad we had the chance to visit. I'm thrilled that he helped me. I'm thrilled that he cares about me. Those kind of things. I want it, and I want it for them, but it feeds me, Andy.
Right.
When you do something that you're passionate about, it feeds yourself. You feed yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's when you're a giver, you're the one that gets.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have served that role for me and for Leslie, and we appreciate you and all the just hundreds of thousands of people that have probably taken your classes through the years. We know you have an impact, and you're well loved, and you should know that. And
we appreciate that.
We'll make
it. It is a love affair. I'll tell you. I love getting to know you guys. I'm not finished with you yet. There's more to work on with you too. Especially you. Leslie's pretty close. Yeah. Leslie's pretty close to as good as it gets.
Yeah. I
need a belated happy birthday. Didn't she just have her birthday?
She did. She had a quarantine birthday.
Yeah.
And I ordered her a chocolate cake with white icing, which was her favorite. And I was going to surprise her. And she said, and I was like, I got to go to the grocery store. And she said, no, you're staying in. I got to go run errands. I'm going to go pick it up. And I'm like, but you're going to pick up your own birthday cake. And she was like, it's okay. I'll go do it. So she's been a trooper. She's been our tribute for the last few weeks. She's the one that's going out into the world, and we're all staying in. So
there you go.
Well, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing this. This will impact many, many people. And come back to Georgia. We need to book a train the trainer, train the center.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Georgia hat here. You know?
I saw the Masters hat. Wouldn't it be great if we saw the Masters maybe sometime later this summer? I sure hope.
That would be great. I put it on my calendar every year, and I had it down. And when I heard, matter of fact, today on rerun are Masters highlights, and I'm thinking I don't look at any reruns except I would look at Masters highlights.
Yes,
this is such an iconic tournament for me.
March and Masters right now. That's what we're missing.
Yeah.
But we'll get through this. Thanks for being here. And
call on me anytime, any way I can help, Andy. I'm just honored that you thought of me, and appreciate you guys so much. I'm a big believer that the better we do in one state, the better we'll do all over. And so whatever I can do to help anywhere, anytime. Matter of fact, I'm going to be on Connect Live at 4:00 today, 4:00 Central Time today.
Awesome.
And assuming that I can manage my way to get on, no,
you can.
I've mastered the talking and contributing part. It's the entry to the technology that's been stumble block for me.
You can do it.
I know I can. I just hope I can do it at the right time.
I look forward to seeing that at 4.
Hey, thank you, Andy. Thanks to everybody who listened in. I appreciate you guys. Call on me if I can help any of you in any way.
And tune in to Facebook for his positive thoughts of the day. I think that would be fantastic. You'll get a lot of requests.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Dick. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Great job.
You okay?
We're all out.